Hello everyone. Today we're working on Module 2, Lesson 13. We're going to use whole number multiplication to find equivalent measurements in both the customary system and the metric system. We're going to start off by solving a problem in the metric system, which is the easiest of the two, and that is 1 5/100ths of a meter, and we want to know how many centimeters that will equal. We're going to start off by thinking of this 1 5/100ths of a meter as 1 5/100ths times 1 meter. And then what we're going to do is replace our unit of 1 meter with the equivalent number of units for centimeters. Now, the C for cent in centimeter means 100. So that helps me understand that there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So my next step in the equation will be 105 copies of, and instead of 1 meter, I'm going to replace the equivalent number of centimeters, 100 centimeters. 105 copies of 100 centimeters, because for every 1 meter, if you picture a meter stick in your mind, remember that for every 1 meter, there's going to be 100 centimeters on that meter stick. Now I'm going to go back and multiply 100 times 1 5/100ths. And of course, 100 times 1 is going to be 100. So I know that that 1 needs to be in the hundreds place. In other words, if you picture a place value chart in your mind, that 1 has moved 2 places to the left, from the ones place to the hundreds place. And all the other digits are going to follow along. And that 5 that used to be in the hundreds place is now going to be in the ones place. And so our answer is going to be 105 centimeters. Now it's your turn, and this problem is in word problem form as well. A crate of apples weighs 5 7/10 kilograms. Convert the weight to grams. So the first thing we're going to do is write it as an equation. 5.7 K equals blank, that should be kg, equals blank G. And once again, that kilo means 1,000. The kilo in kilograms means 1,000. That means there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram. And by the way, you should all have a conversion chart inside your planner. If you're ever at home working on measurements and you forget what equals what, look inside your planner, and there should be a conversion chart for both customary and metric system in there somewhere. I don't remember if this year it's in the front or the back, but it's in there somewhere. So what I'd like you to do is remember that anytime we are moving from a large unit to a smaller unit, that means we have to multiply. Because think about it, that makes sense, right? If you have many smaller things and you want to see how many of them equal a larger thing, of course it's going to have to be, you're going to need more of them to equal that larger thing. So you're going to have to do an operation that gives us a larger number, and that will be multiplication in this case. So I'd like you to go ahead, work through the multiplication. It's the metric system, so you're going to be multiplying by a exponent of 10, which means you're just moving the decimals from one place to another. It'll be the same digits in the same order. So go ahead and write your answer on the Edpuzzle quiz, and then move on. Now we're going to solve a problem that is in the customary system. And of course, these are a little bit more difficult because the customary system is not based on tens and powers of tens like the metric system is. So we have some unusual numbers that we have to multiply by. In this case, we have 3 weeks, and we want to know the number of days in each week. And again, a week is larger than a day, so I know that I'm going to be multiplying by something because my answer is going to have to be greater. If I have smaller units and I want to find an equivalence to a larger unit, then I know that I'm going to need more of those smaller units to equal the same thing as a few large units. So once again, I'm going to rewrite this as 3 times and my unit. So 3 weeks is the same as 1 week plus 1 week plus 1 week, or 3 times 1 week. And then I'm going to substitute in my equation the number of days. Now, some of you I know can do this in your head and look at it and say, I know what the answer is, but I'd like you to work through the process because this is a process of an algebraic function that we're going to be using with other numbers later on. And so I want you to learn the process even if you can already figure out the answer in your head. So I'm going to turn 1 week into, let me remember how many days are in 1 week. I recall there are 7 days. 7 days and 1 week are the same thing. So I'm going to replace that 1 week with 7 days inside my parentheses. And now I can do my math. And 3 times 7 is 21. And my new unit is days. So I know that 3 weeks is the same as 21 days. And I know that this makes sense because there are many more days in 3 weeks than there are weeks because days are a smaller unit. Now it's your turn, and this is our last problem for the day. And again, this one is in word problem form, so you have to read it and then figure out what the equation is going to be. A sack holds 56 7/75 pounds of sand. Convert the weight to ounces. So I know the pounds. I know that pounds are larger than ounces. So I'm going to write the equation down below. 56 7/75 pounds equals how many ounces? Okay, ounces are smaller than pounds, and if you have forgotten, you can look it up in your conversion chart in your planner, and you should see that 16 ounces equal 1 pound. So that means that we're going to have to do some double-digit multiplication for this one. It's going to be a little bit more difficult than the previous one, but you certainly use your whiteboard or your scratch paper to do your multiplication. And if you need to use an area model to check yourself, make sure that you have the right answer. You can estimate first and determine what a reasonable answer would be, because this is, you're multiplying a 4-digit number times a 2-digit number. This is fairly complicated. So make sure that you get that decimal in the right place. It's not easy like the metric system where you know right off the bat where the decimal is going to be. You're going to have to make an estimate, figure out where your decimal belongs, and then do the math. Write your answer on the Ed Puzzle quiz. Good luck, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.